have something like this from Forestry Department to explain about how they use fire in the forest and the forest management practices that they do. I hope in the future they do a similar workshop like this on herbicides, because the people don't know what's going on in the forest with herbicides. They call my office and I'm not a chemist. I don't know what it is to humans or animals. They're very concerned about it. So with this, I'm sure there. Nahwahquaw to Menominee People. Then we mark up the ship on the real case to each other. Nahwahquaw no. Tapana ayam met them all. They say okay, match me out to Kia. They am the Scota, with Kukikia. The house I Coach Kia, Nahwahquaw no, Shiko Kitchen Zazos. Tapana ayam met them all. Nahwahquaw met the moment. They come okay here, Menominee match talk. Gracias, Nano Comatia. So Nano Tutuakua, Menominee, so Suanitia. Nahwahquaw no, we went in here, nature. Nature Nano Comatia. Then we mark the Kiamas. You go away, how okay, Siopi, match me out to Kia, Menominee, Kukikin, yes, okay. They hear me, Kukikia. They hear me, Skoka. Yo yawa tat kumuki kono nam shukukitsin zazos. Am shukukum. Kumas nasano. Then we makna kane. Yo.
So we have an hour today. This is kind of our first of two presentations we're doing today. And so feel free, it's kind of informal, to get up, grab some food, and at the same time, we're going to this first presentation is going to be sped up a little bit more than the afternoon, so if there's something that really interests you here, we'll be around after the presentation to talk about things or follow up on questions, or there's also the evening presentation tonight. I like to start off any presentation I give by just laying down some rules or getting things straight so there's no misunderstandings or confusion. If we start using technical fire terms, let us know. You know, don't feel. Go ahead and interrupt us and ask us to clarify something. My background, my theories, my personal philosophies just tend to get thrown into any presentation. It's kind of human nature. So nothing I say is by any means meant to be disrespectful to anyone. I come from a different culture than the Menominee, so I have a different view of the world. And some of my background is I've been in fire management for almost 15 years. I've worked for Forest Service, BLM, state and local county agencies doing fire management. I've worked in a number of places, primarily out west. And I came to Menominee Tribal Enterprises a little over 2 years ago. And I've learned a lot since I've been here. And always questions and comments are encouraged. And I just want to throw it out there that I feel personally honored to be able to present this information, and to have the opportunity to work and learn from the Menominee Forest and in the Menominee Forest. So I'm honored to be here and present this story. And this is Ron Waka, and I'll let him kind of give his background.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ron Waka. I work at Menominee Tribal Enterprises. I have since 1988. Mostly forest management in those years, but most recently hired February of 2005 as a fuels technician for the tribe. So Jerry's been helping a lot, getting it moving along. But one thing we want to do is inform the tribal
And Ron's been involved with the fire program since its origination, I believe, and so he's a great asset to our program.
This quote, I started off with this quote, we found it in the Confederated Tribes, Western Tribes, that was Smokey. To our elders and ancestors, we shaped to maintain our cultural sacred fire. To our contemporary fire warriors, to courageously face fire and putting fire back on land. And to our children that can come who will inherit this landscape. And it's a good quote. It's, all tribes feel the same way about fire.
I'm going to talk about early fire management. This quote basically states that fire is very much a human, it's a characteristic of, or it's something that humans, it almost defines humans as a race. It was our ability to capture fire, to use fire as a tool. So at the same time, it gave us some responsibility. It made us stewards of the land. And this is, just a real quick demo on. So there's a little bit of smoke there, but this is a technology of our own that puts a lot of responsibility on us. So that's how I refer to early fire management. This is really what it was. People understood fire. They weren't scared of fire like we are today. What is fire management today? Basically, I just wanted to touch on our fire program here. It's kind of considered its own department at MTE, and within that, there's 3 programs. There's what we call preparedness or pre-suppression. This is our just general day-to-day staffing. Doing maintenance on our trucks. It's what we do when there's no fires to fight or no prescribed fire activities. Fire suppression is actually putting fires out. And fuels management, that's where we'll talk about prescribed fire and mechanical type treatments. With these programs, all these programs are funded through a contract with the tribe, which has a contract with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So these are federally funded programs as part of that trust responsibility that the government has here. And some of the other things related to fire preparedness and fire suppression, we are a local and a national fire resource. So we don't just fight fires here or do work here. We go anywhere where there's a need. And that also relates to the national all risk. All risk is a new term that they're using for like hurricanes, any natural disaster, even terrorism. The wildland fire community nationally has been called upon to really help out with developing this response to these big natural disasters. So we sent people down to Hurricane Katrina last year. There were fire resources that helped manage the World Trade Center, 9/11 when that happened. So we do a lot more than fire. We use the Incident Command System, ICS, which is a very militaristic way of organizing and managing things. And I'll kind of show our local command structure here. And then what you generally see on the news is the worst situation. Those are the worst fires. Those are where there's houses burning up. And so that's where a lot of people get their perception about bad fire, how bad fire is because of what you see on the news. And the interesting thing is that you didn't really see much this summer about fires out west like you had in the past, but we actually had a record-breaking year for the number of acres burned. So it was one of the worst fire seasons, but you didn't hear about it because there really wasn't a lot of big, expensive homes being burnt up. Kind of hard to see some of this, but this is our chain of command. I call it our organizational structure. Basically, we have, I'm the fire management officer, that's my position. So I report to the forest manager at MTE, who reports to the MTE president, and he reports to the board of directors. Underneath myself is Ron in the fuels program, and in my absence, Ron takes over and fills in as my assistant fire management officer. We have 2 engine bosses, engine supervisors. One of them is George Korn, and another one, Bernard Bowman. He's not here right now. And then Jeff Placco is one of our other, he's hired as an engine boss also, engine supervisor. And also we have part of our program is a dispatcher, Gwen Awanape. She's our dispatcher, and she helps out with a lot of our administrative duties. And underneath her, she kind of oversees our lookout towers when we staff those. And some of these other positions that we have to fill, we use what we call ADs. They're emergency firefighters. They're on call. So there's a group of people that we can call upon to help us staff for fire suppression. But what we really wanted to focus on today was mostly kind of the fuels management part of things. And this is the art of science of fire management. We've got prescribed fire and mechanical treatments underneath there. And this is what I call the Smokey bear factor. Because of fire suppression, because of Smokey the Bear, that campaign was actually so successful that it removed fire from just about every landscape in the country, and it's not just going on here, it's a worldwide type of a situation. And that has made some forests more fire prone. Trees have grown in and actually made fires worse. Well, in some cases, it's made forests less fire prone. And that's kind of the case with what's going on Menominee here. Areas that used to be maintained by fire have actually grown, trees have grown up and made it less of a fire hazard. But it's more of a threat to biological animals and plants and the way that things used to be. And that's not to say that there still is a risk. There is a risk from fire here. I'm not going to say that there's no risk. So now we're going to get into kind of what we named this presentation after, and I call this a story of fire in the Menominee Forest. And by no means is this the story. It's not the answer to all the mysteries of fire here. It's just something that we've developed based on our current understandings, our research, and this story is going to change. It's going to evolve over time because we are part of the story. And some of our sources of information, I mean, there's a lot of things that we kind of use to kind of come up with our theories and our conclusions and what we're presenting. Some of them are old historic photos, general land office surveys that were done in the mid-1800s, and that's where they've created some of these original vegetation maps. And some of our observations with understanding about how forests grow and understanding about fires and their effects on the land, we can kind of come up with more of a story. There's also historic references. Lots of good studies have been done where you can kind of pick out little bits of information, like these 2 quotes here. One of them, extensive areas of sandy soil supported open, pine, hills, oak, woodlands. And then 1851, covered with low shrubby pine and occasionally a swamp of tamarack and cedar. There's some good pine timber. So these are all reference points that we can kind of refer back to. Gives us little snapshots of time. And then this is one of, I believe it's Walter Hoffman. But one of the books that, thanks to historic preservation, and they're kind of guiding us and showing us some of these books, but we found this book that's got a lot of late 1800 photos of here, some places on Menominee. And then this just kind of really shows, it shows that there was, what I'm starting to see as I'm doing more learning here and looking into the history, how fire is very much culturally related. There's a direct link to where you see the types of fires that were happening and potentially old villages or hunting grounds and stuff like that. And then we'll get a little bit more into that stuff. But when we're talking fire history, there's some significant events. I kind of consider them events, but we have our pre-settlement time where basically I kind of use that to refer to prior to the whites coming in and really changing and influencing things. But pre-settlement, fire was used for hunting, for berries, for berry gathering, some other tribes for basket making, maintain travel routes, even some ceremonial. There's a reference in one of our handouts over here about how spiritually people used to come across dead trees, and they felt like by burning it, that would cleanse the earth and regenerate the forest and allow those trees to regrow. So they kind of looked at there's a spiritual aspect to it. In the early 1800s, there's a link between the white pine establishment and the southwest part of the reservation. Some of our most mature stands that we're having some forestry related questions about. It was a result of fires that are referenced of around 1810 to 1820. There was a large fire event, a blowdown, trees blew down, and then fire got in there. Then there was a logging era, and that had a significant impact on fire history. And then 1930s, the 40s, that was the Dust Bowl, Great Depression, big drought period there. And then current trend we'll kind of touch on